Okay, this is number 8 on our causative stem exercises. It's from Genesis 8:1, so we're right there in the middle of the story of Noah. So looking at the verse, if you were to look through the entire verse and notice some of the ways that it's structured, notice that here after the Athnak, there is another Vayiktol. So it begins with a Vayiktol back here. You have another Vayiktol after the Athnak, and then in fact you have another Vayiktol right here. So that's significant. So each one of those begins a new clause. So we can then begin to pick apart the verse based upon that. Now this first one, this first Vayiktol, we notice that under the Yod is a I-class vowel, and so what we need to do is eliminate that this is not a Nif vowel. So we look at the next vowel and it's a Schwa, so this is not a Nif vowel. So this is just simply Kal, imperfect consecutive, third masculine singular from Zakar. So he remembered, or God remembered. And then what we see is that he remembered several things, and they're all indicated by the direct object marker. So we have the et here, we have a v'et here, a v'et here. So God remembered this, and then this one right here as well. So what did God remember? Well, he remembered Noah. All right, that's the first. And all the chaya, which are basically animals. It comes from the idea of living things. Chai, you've learned, is life, and chaya is just living animals. It's very general, usually perhaps even of untamed animals, but very general, just animals. And then he remembered all the behemah, which is another word for animals as well. Typically it's understood as four-footed animals, sometimes translated as cattle, but it's just a general word in this case for those who are on the ark. So what we have is that God remembered Noah and all the living things and all the animals, and then we have this asher, this relative particle, who or which were, it's implied, there's no verb here, but then we have this. Now it looks very much like the direct object marker that we've been having, but you have to notice the hirik underneath the aleph. So what we have here, instead of the direct object marker, which would be listed like that with a holum on top, here we have this hirik, which makes it not the direct object, but actually the preposition with. Who were with him, or which were with him, and then we have this preposition by on this word teva, which is the word for ark. It's interesting. That's a good study for you. This word for teva, for ark, is only used in two places, here in Genesis 8 with Noah, but it's also used in Exodus 2 with Moses, with baby Moses, who was placed literally in an ark. So there's two places that this occurs in the Hebrew Bible, and namely when God chose to use an ark to save Noah and his family and the animals, and then when God chose to save Moses, who would deliver his people. There's some good theology and good intertextuality there that I would encourage you to think about. But for our purposes, we'll move on to the next verb, which is here with the vayever, which this is for our purposes, where we are in our studies. This is important because this Vayiktol, we have to look at that pathic underneath the Yod. So it's Vayever. So we look at the pathic, and that's an A-class vowel, and then we go over and look at the next full vowel, and what we find is that's an I-class. So this is a Hifil. So that's important because what we're going to end up seeing is that it's not God passed over, but that God made pass over an object. So that object is actually the ruach right here, which we can learn as spirit, but it also means wind. So God made a wind pass over, literally upon the land. So God made a wind cross over the land, or pass over, or blow over the land. And then the last part of the verse just simply says, and the waters abated. So back to the beginning. God remembered Noah and all the living creatures and all the cattle, or all the animals, which were with him on the ark. And God made a wind cross over the land, or pass over the land, and the waters abated.